Alright guys, I had a fair bit of use on the 210 now. I figured I'd take a couple of minutes and do a little bit of a review for you. I'm just going to start off by saying that it's a STIHL, so the build quality is going to be there. You know, it's not an Oregon or some cheap hardware store's own brand chainsaw. It's you know, it's a STIHL. They're market leaders, so it's not going to be crap if you're using it for what if you're using it within its power range and that sort of stuff. It's going to be great, which it has been. But we're going to go into a few of the features of it, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit, and at the end of it, it's a fantastic saw. I mean, you've seen it used, so it's not going to be a negative review by any means, but I figured I'd go over a few of the options and weigh them up against the traditional option, and yeah, we'll see how we go. Alright, thanks guys. Rightio, the 210, this has been our little workhorse, sometimes our glorified splitter, as you've seen in one of my videos. It's a fantastic little unit. Again, it's a STIHL, so build quality and that sort of stuff is going to be there. There's no point in going into that. I'm just going to waste everybody's time. The easy start, which is what the C stands for in the model number, just in case you weren't sure. Now, the easiest way to explain how it works, I'm not going to go into exactly how it works, but basically you pull the rope and it stores a small amount of that energy and then releases it. So you don't have to pull really fast, you can pull nice and slow, and at the end of the pull it'll turn over. Makes it nice and easy to use for a beginner, so somebody who's a young 15-16 year old who's never used a chainsaw before, or a girl saw. I know that at the dealership they refer to this as a girly saw because of the easy start, but it's a great powerful little unit. But the easy start just makes life that much easier. Now, I'm not sure whether this is a feature of the easy start or whether it's just a feature of this particular saw, but the primer bulb makes it life so much easier again, because it takes 3 pulls to start instead of 5 or 6. You don't have to worry about trying to bring the fuel up. Haven't had to adjust the carburetor at all. It stayed nice and true, which is fantastic, and there's high revs, and I mean we haven't been using it in any sort of like minus negative temperatures or anything like that, but it's had quite a few cold days and really low single digit starts, and it's performed brilliantly the whole time. This is does just have a 16-inch bar. I mean, again, it's a 16-inch roll-o-matic bar. What can I say about it? It's a known product. It works flawlessly. I've never had a problem with it. The STIHL chains, which is what this has only ever had on it since I've owned it, and they perform flawlessly, obviously, if you keep them out of the dirt and things like that. So, toolless chain adjustment. You can open up the circle and tighten it up. Your chain adjustment is up here, which adjusting the chain on this saw is fantastic. If you can turn a knob, you can adjust the chain. So I'll just slack it off, and you slowly move this forward, and you'll see it start to pick up. Just slow, nice and slow, moving it forward, and it'll stop. It'll stop being able to spin once the chain comes up against the bar. And if you're doing it slowly enough, you should be able to tighten that down while lifting up the front of the bar, and you should be able to get perfect tension. It's that simple. Trying to get this open with big, thick, heavy work gloves on, or even the thin mechanics gloves, which I use in a lot of my repair videos and stuff. can be a little bit of a challenge. You can sort of get it to about here and it'll flick back, which can be a bit painful, but I mean, as long as you keep one on to hold the hot part, you should be fine. Yeah, this saw, again, I'm not sure if it's, it's indicative of a lot of the smaller stills. And yes, it is dirty, it has been used. This is not a shelf queen or whatever you want to call it. No adjuster for, or no adjustment for the oiler, the bar oil, which, from what I've heard and from what I've read about, a lot of people have trouble with them oiling not enough. Whereas to start off with, when I first started using this saw, my problem was with it oiling too much, and it was using too much oil and running out before the fuel was running out. And again, if you don't know, you should have it adjusted so that it works down at about the same rate. If not, you want the fuel to run down just a little bit more than the oil, so you're never starving the bar of oil or starving the saw of oil. So that's pretty much it. That's all the the abnormal features and that sort of stuff on it. Things that set it apart. The toolless chain adjustment is by far, for a medium to heavy use saw, it's fantastic. If you're going to be using your saw all day, every day, I don't know, I've never used a chainsaw for that long. I've never used it 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. So I can't really give you much of an opinion on how it would stack up against the standard 2-stud or even a single stud. But from my experience with light, medium, heavy use, it's fantastic. The tension stays where it is, and it's never lost tension. The only time it has is when it was a brand new chain, so it's the chain that stretched, not the adjustment system. So that's fantastic. A chain brake, normal chain brake, that works fine. The air filters on it are a quick change filter, which makes life all that much easier. They simply clip off, which can be a little bit of a pain, but they do come off nice and easy, and they clip back on, as opposed to, this is a filter from the O29, which needs cleaning. Which you have to take the screws out. But if you've got a saw with standard bar studs, you're going to be carrying around your chainsaw tool anyway, so if you're going to have it on you already, it's not that big of a deal. With this one, you don't have to carry any tools out with you in the field to service it, except for your sharpening equipment. And that's it. I'm not really sure where to go from here. I mean, it's a fantastic saw. It gets used quite often. It gets used hard. It doesn't get babied and only cut a few inch logs. Like, it's cut 14, 15 inch pieces consistently, and it's never complained. It's never sputtered. It goes with any saw. If you know that it doesn't quite have the power to do what you're trying to do with it, then you need to take care, and you can't just start driving it and levering it down in, because you're just going to do damage. I think the biggest bar you can get for this is an 18-inch bar, because then the chain pitch changes. But you put the 18-inch bar on it, it's still going to work fine, as long as you know what you're doing and you don't try and overload the saw. You don't try and cut through stupid stuff with it and then try and force it through. As long as you know what you're doing and you know the limitations of the saw, then you can do pretty much anything with any saw, within reason. So in closing, it's fantastic. I'd probably give it 4.5 out of 5. The only area that it falls back is just that little bit of power, but it is a smaller saw. It is a semi-pro saw, I believe. That's what the Wood Boss is. So if you're going to be cutting a bit of firewood, personal firewood, you're not going to be cutting it and selling it, but a bit of personal firewood, doing a bit of tree trimming, taking down a few smaller trees, it's a good little felling saw, as long as it's within the within your 16 inches or your 18 inches, depending on what bar you have, because it's light. I'm not exactly sure how much it weighs, but it's fantastic. I mean, the O29 is not that much bigger than this. It's within the same series. It's a bit older, and that thing is a beast. And it's good for big, bucking and stuff like that, because you can let the weight of the saw do the work after you get your saw started. With this, it's not quite as easy because it's not quite as heavy, so you can't just sort of relax the weight of the saw and let it fall through. You do need to use your bucking spikes and give it a bit of leverage. But you know, that's nor here nor there. That's just not being a lazy cutter, if I'm honest. So for some personal firewood, some light felling chores, it's fantastic. It's a perfect homeowner saw. It's perfect for maybe a first saw if you're looking for, you know, maybe a saw for your son or even your daughter. It's perfect. They still doesn't make these anymore. I believe it was last year, 2014, last year, that they were discontinued. But they guarantee parts for 10 years. So if, you know, it's getting to the end of that, you can stock up and buy a few years worth of service parts to get you through if you want to buy a new saw or whatever. But I did buy this saw second hand. It cost about $100. I'm not sure exactly how old it was or how much use it had, but you know, with pulling the exhaust off and checking the piston, there's no carbon build up, so it was looked after. I believe it actually came from a small felling group, you know, just a little privateer group of guys who did their felling and their firewood. So fantastic little saw, great for a homeowner, great for a small bit of firewood, and a fantastic first saw for, you know, a young child, 14, 15. I wouldn't go any younger than that. Just, you know, my personal opinion, but you know your kids better than I do, so just use your common sense when it comes to that sort of stuff. I'm not going to get into that debate right now, but all in all, 5.5 to 5 out of 5. And it's a fantastic saw, you know. It's done a lot of work for us over the last 8 months or so, and I would definitely recommend this saw to anybody for the personal use. For the commercial, it's a little bit iffy, but for personal use, absolutely fantastic saw. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.